Everyone knows that Tucson, Arizona has cactus and dry heat and the University of Arizona Wildcats. But what else do you need to know about Tucson that you really wouldn't know unless you lived here for a while? Hey everyone, it's Kimberly, your go-to real estate agent in Tucson, Arizona, and today I'm telling you what non-Tucsonans don't know about this city. I've been here almost 40 years, so there are some things about this place I'm just used to. But if I were visiting for the first time, I would be pretty surprised by this community in many ways. If you have something to add to the list, toss it down in the comments section below, and I'd appreciate a like or subscribe if you learned something new today. Contact me when you go to buy or sell a home in Tucson or the surrounding suburbs. All my contact information is in the description below each video, and explore the hundreds of other videos on this channel about things to do and see and know about my hometown city of Tucson, Arizona. So the first thing that Tucsonans know that other people probably don't know is that we are a huge foodie city. Tucson was actually the first US city to be deemed a UNESCO City of Gastronomy in 2015. An article published March 19, 2023 in Travel and Leisure magazine lists Tucson as one of the best food cities in the US. We ranked number 6 actually, right up there with New York, New Orleans, Chicago, San Francisco, and Houston. So many of our foods are Latin fused or incorporate Southwestern ingredients. So what's the #1 food you have to try when you're visiting Tucson? Our most famous regional dish is the Sonoran hot dog, which is wrapped in bacon and served on a bolillo-style hot dog bun and topped with beans, onions, tomatoes, and jalapeno salsa. Best drink? After 5 p.m., it's gotta be the prickly pear margarita, although before noon, I recommend prickly pear mimosas myself. But if you prefer no alcohol, stop off at any of our local drive-through EGs and get yourself a refreshing, slushy drink. Everyone has their favorite. Mine since childhood has always been strawberry. By the way, I do not get paid by EGs to promote their drink, even though I talk about them in all my YouTube videos. However, if they wanted to pay me in the form of free EGs for life, I would not turn them down. Check out the rest of this channel for restaurant recommendations. We have a ton. Here's something else people should be aware of. Tucson has a lot of wild desert animals. Tucson's animals are actually pretty cool, but some can get a little aggressive if they think they are in danger or if they're trying to protect their babies. Keep your distance, admire them from a distance, and I probably shouldn't have to say this, but if you see one in the wild, do not approach a pack of javelinas, especially if they have their babies with them. Do not approach a pack of coyotes. Do not approach bobcats, especially bobcat mothers. Do not touch Gila monsters. And of course, not that you ever would, but don't get too close to a rattlesnake. Also, do not feed wild desert animals. Leave these animals alone and they'll leave you alone for the most part. A lot of Tucson homes have brick walls to keep out desert animals, or they have chicken wire around the bottom of gates or fences to keep snakes from getting in the yards. Keep down your rodent population in your yard and it will significantly help with your snake problem. Personally, I love snakes, and some snakes eat rattlesnakes, so I actually don't mind those guys living on my property, so they can get into your backyard no problem. While we're talking about wild animals, Tucson has some amazing birds, and we're pretty famous for being a bird watcher's paradise also. We have had really humongous toads certain times of the year that are really sluggish and weird looking. They can be really loud, especially when you're trying to sleep in the middle of the night. And we have a lot of lizards and bugs and beetles and bees and wasps and scorpions and spiders, all of which I talk about in other videos on this channel. We also have pack rats here, and I'm not talking about the people on the hoarder shows. I'm talking about actual rats that like to build nests and chew up electrical wiring in cars or campers or workout equipment or anything outside with electrical wiring. We also have termites here. So most home buyers have termite inspectors check everything out before a home is purchased. Something else that some people don't know is that we pretty much have to plan our lives around the heat in the summertime. Obviously, everyone knows that it is hot in Tucson in the summertime. There's no surprise there. But Tucsonans have learned to live with it by changing a lot of their life patterns during the summertime. During the summer, Tucsonans plan all of their vacations so that they can escape the heat. But if vacations aren't possible, they're getting their air conditioner served harvest and making sure it's in good working order before the summer hits. And they are making plans to become best friends with anyone who has a swimming pool. And we really try to not go out during the middle of the day and the heat of the day, so we get all of our gardening or outdoor projects done first thing in the morning so that we don't have to do anything in the afternoon outside. When we go to a grocery store or shopping, we always try to find a place to park our cars underneath a shady tree or the shade of a building. We purposefully avoid purchasing homes with a backyard that faces west because we know the backyard heat will be brutal by the end of the day in the summertime. We try our best to purchase homes that are well insulated because it's just that important to us that we keep the air cool in those hotter months. We even tend to purchase homes that have garages or carports just so our cars will be protected from the sun that beats down on them. We are also very careful with sun and how we take care of our skin. So if we're going out in the middle of the day in the summer, we wear sunglasses and hats and sunscreen, and some people even carry an umbrella so that we'll be protected from skin damage and skin cancer. The summer is just a harsh time of year for anyone who is visiting or living here, and Tucsonans have just gotten used to it and they've learned to adapt as they live here. And by the way, here's a bonus tip. For as hot as it gets here in the summertime, it gets pretty chilly in the wintertime also. In the winter, we see temperatures below freezing. We cover our plants overnight so they don't freeze. We actually use our fireplaces, and believe it or not, it snows here 1 or 2 days each winter, just long enough for us to take a million pictures before everything melts by noon. Something else that people are surprised by when they move here from another place is our architecture. See, we don't have a ton of 2-story or multi-level homes here, especially in the city limits, partially because of the potential for higher electric bills during the summer months because hot air rises, but also we don't like to block our mountain views if we don't have to. We also have a lot of retired people here who just prefer not to walk upstairs all the time, and I don't blame them because I don't like to walk upstairs either, to be honest. And because we grow out into the city suburbs as opposed to up, we also don't have a lot of really huge homes here because we don't have finished basements, we don't have finished lofts, and if you just have a single story, really the only square footage in your home is on that one floor. So a 5,000 square foot home would be pretty big for a single story home. I have buyers moving here who are coming from other states and they say, I need a 4,000 square foot home. Well, we just don't have a lot of those here. Most of our houses are between 1,500 to 3,000 square feet. Anything bigger than that is going to be a little bit harder to find and probably pretty expensive. And again, keep in mind, a lot of our residents here are either retired or they're purchasing homes in Tucson as a second home, or they're college students, and those folks just don't want or need really big houses. Speaking of architecture, we also have flat roofs and tile roofs, which a lot of people don't have. We have homes with saltile tile floors, a lot of Southwestern and Mexican influence in our architecture. Some brick homes, others are stucco. Lots of variety, lots of historical homes and neighborhoods here, although we have plenty of new builds and modern as well. Not a lot of grass in the front or backyards though. We're all about the xeriscaping with turf and decorative rock and desert plantings. No one wants a big water bill, and that's what you get with a yard full of grass. And also, who wants to mow grass anyway? By the way, we also have a lot of homeowners associations here. The older homes and homes in Midtown generally do not, but if you're buying in a suburb or you're buying a home built in, let's say, the 1990s until now, prepare yourself for some type of an HOA, even if the dues per month are not super high, and even if the HOA rules and regulations aren't particularly strict. Let's talk about the people who live here. Tucson is, of course, the second most populated city in the state of Arizona next to Phoenix. We have about 550,000 people living in Tucson proper, and about 1 million if you include our suburbs and surrounding areas. According to ArizonaDemographics.com, the median age for Tucson residents is 34 years old. So what do these demographics mean for Tucson and residents and culture? Even though our city is popular for retirees and snowbirds, the average Tucsonan is actually still a little bit younger than the average American. As a result, we're a little bit hipster here. We have plenty of young people here, many of whom move here for the University of Arizona and then they end up staying after graduation. Tucson offers a large number of secondhand stores, trendy nightlife, food trucks, tattoo parlors, art museums, a cool downtown scene, and solar panels providing energy throughout the city. Our culture isn't fancy. We're not snobby people. We're not the martini crowd. We like the arts. We like the outdoors. We like to stay active. We also love Mexican food, Hispanic culture, Hispanic architecture, Dia de los Muertos, and we take pride in those and other Tucson traditions. Many of our residents speak at least some Spanish, and Spanish is definitely spoken and taught in our schools. Also, speaking of Tucson culture, there is such a thing as Tucson time. Tucsonans are generally more laid back than the average person. We kind of move at our own pace. We're a little more chill, and in my opinion, a little less stressed. Remember, we're not Phoenix. Oh, and one more thing about our culture, we have cowboys here, which is awesome. Another thing that we have that most places don't really have are washes and monsoons. If you happen to visit during monsoon season, which is generally just during summertime, be careful when you're out driving because a big rainstorm can hit and the visibility is really poor during our bad monsoon storms. If you hit a dip in the road sometimes, the water is flooded so badly you can get stuck in a wash. Doesn't happen too often and the big storms really don't last very long when they hit, but you just need to be prepared and drive safely. Never enter a wash area when it's flooded. It's just not safe. Never hike before or during or even right after a big monsoon storm, especially in canyons and areas where water can flood quickly. You wouldn't think I'd have to say that, but people have to be rescued every year here in Tucson during big floods. Watch the weather reports and see when the storms are going to hit. It's usually in the summer afternoons, and if you're planning to fly in and out of the Tucson airport during monsoon season, be prepared for a very bumpy ride. Something else to be prepared for are our roads. Depending on where you live and where you hang out the most, you may end up doing a lot of driving here. Tucson is pretty spread out, but we're not known for having great roads. We don't have a lot of freeways that we can easily take from one side of the city to another, and I'll get in trouble with other Tucsonans for saying this because some will disagree with me. But as a born and raised Tucsonan, I don't want a lot of freeways racing all over my city. I don't want them blocking mountain views. I don't want increased traffic and congestion like Phoenix has. But one thing I would like a little more of are smoother and cleaner roads because Tucson's not known for that either. And I can speak freely about this because let me tell you, as a real estate agent, all I do is drive all over the city and suburbs all day long. Sometimes I'm in my car almost 12 hours a day just driving buyers around. And I'll say that the roads are the worst in the city limits. For the most part, the roads and traffic aren't nearly as bad in the suburbs and county. But I advise my home buyer clients that the first step before they even think about purchasing a home is to figure out the area of town that they like best. If you work in Marana, don't send your kids to school in Vail and live in Sahuarita. It just doesn't make any sense. Find an area of town that checks off the majority of your boxes and then purchase a home there, and you probably won't leave your little area very often because you just won't have to. Then you can avoid the traffic and road situation as much as possible. I hope this was helpful to you whether you're planning on visiting or moving here in the near future. If it was helpful, you can thank me by liking the video and hitting the red subscribe button on your way out the door so we can discover more of Tucson together in the future. If you're a Tucsonan and have something to add to the list, toss it down in the comments. And if you're planning to purchase or sell Tucson real estate in the future, contact me. Let's get started. All my contact information is in the description below each video on this channel, and please explore the hundreds of other videos on this channel for more things to do and see and know about this city, my hometown. I really appreciate you hanging out with me today, and I will see you in the next Tucson video.